Good evening. Good evening and welcome to Sunrise webinar Impact of Imposter Syndrome. Inspirational owners versus imposter syndrome workers. Good evening, everybody. So today we are going to talk about the topic inspirational owners versus imposter syndrome workers. So Sunrise webinar. So what is actually the meaning of Sunrise? So it is sessions unfolding numerous risk by imposter syndrome employees. See, BBC Live, this is a parental company, BBC Live. So today, this Sunday special webinar is brought to you by BBC Help. Say BBC Business Blueprint Celebrations Happiness Ensured Learning Program. Today we are going to see about what actually the imposter syndrome is, because more than 70% of the people are affected with imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome is one thing which spoils the entire growth of a business community. The entire business community gets affected because of imposter syndrome workers. As a boss, you will be planning a lot of things to improve your business, but your team, your executives, or from your marketing team, or from your production team, if your team of workers are affected with imposter syndrome, say if they falls under the 70% grid, then what would be your outcome? So how bad your business will be affected. So we'll be discussing the entire thing, everything in today's session. So we'll be talking about what actually imposter syndrome is. What actually imposter syndrome is, why is this important to know about? Why is this important to know about, and how you will be coping with imposter syndrome feelings. All these things we are going to discuss about it. Okay, so before we start this session, okay, let me tell who am I. So because few of you might know me personally, or might have seen my sessions earlier. Okay, so before starting about this imposter syndrome issues exclusively for business owners, let me share a few things about me. Basically, I'm a program producer for Doordarshan Podigai channel. It's a government medium. I'm doing a live quiz show on imposter syndrome in King TV Coimbatore. It's never before in any satellite channel this kind of stuff have not come so far. It's an exclusive live quiz program based on imposter syndrome. I'm giving regular speeches in All India Radio Coimbatore on life skills. I'm writing articles on self-development for the past 5 years plus, 5+ years in Tannambikkai magazine. That's a magazine having a reputation of more than 30 years. So I'm writing an article. When current article is happening, Nil Gavani Purapade. That's again, it's on life skills and imposter syndrome related stuffs. I'm giving regular speeches in Ratnavani 90.8 FM. It is a community radio station by Ratnam Group of Institutions, Coimbatore. So again, then Ratnam Group is a very popular group in Coimbatore. It's an educational institution. I'm giving talks for their FM radio, mostly for which benefits the student community practice. So I'm contributing and still contributing with articles in Dinamalar, Iniya Tamazhagam magazines, and currently I am contributing with an article in Agaram Kadir. It's a magazine. It's a magazine for Tamil Nadu government's education department, basically. So that magazine's target is education department of government of Tamil Nadu. This particular magazine, Agaram Kadir, is circulated among all the departments throughout all the departments of Tamil Nadu government. So I'm writing an article in that magazine. I'm giving regular coaching for students of Bharatiyar University through Swami Vivekananda Uyaraivu Matrum Kalvi Mayam from the academic year 2016. So regularly, I'm counseling for students, giving them contents on imposter syndrome, life skills, and a lot of other stuff. I'm a regular trainer there. Conducting trainings and coaching sessions for central government employees in Natesan Institute of Cooperative Management in Chennai. So basically, this Natesan Institute is part of Institution of National Council for Cooperative Studies, New Delhi. So I'm an authorized trainer there, and I give training sessions there. Imposter syndrome coach for many corporate and organizations for more than 10 years. My mission in life is to simply empower 6 lakhs of families live an imposter-free life. I help business owners in solving their problems due to imposter syndrome workers and maximize their profits through my imposter ECG assessment. Okay, now we are getting into the topic. Do you chalk your success? Do you chalk your success up to luck, timing, or computer? In case you've come across a success in your business, come across your success, where do you contribute to it? That credit, which area you're contributing? You say it is because of luck, or do you say it's because of your timing, or you say because of computer error? Do you believe if I can do it, anybody can? Do you have that mentality? So when you say, if I am able to do, anyone can able to do. Parallelly, if someone can achieve something, I can also achieve the same thing. So is your thoughts in that language, that attitude? Do you agonize over the smallest flaws in your work? If something bad happens or something wrong happens in your business, do you agonize yourself? You say that, oh, no, because of this and that factors, my business is getting into trouble. So do you agonize for the actions and reactions happening in your day in and day out business? Are you crushed by even constructive criticisms, seeing it as an evidence of your ineptness? If somebody criticizes you or somebody criticizes your business outcome, or the way you handle your workers, or the way you handle your business on the whole, say what is your kind of feeling? Do you get crushed overall outcome for that one thing? You'll have to answer all these questions in back of your mind. Likewise, apart from criticism, when you do succeed in your business, do you secretly feel like you fooled the entire world around? So for success, when you get a success, the entire world appreciates you that you're a successful businessman. The entire world, your friends, your relatives, everybody in this universe appreciates you. But still internally, back of your mind voice says that you are being fooling the entire world. Is those kind of thoughts coming to you? One more thing. Do you worry that it's a matter of time before you are found out? Do you worry in future somebody identify you that you're giving wrong information, you're a fraud kind of a thing? Okay, you're doing something, telling something. So there's a difference. If that happens, do you worry? Okay, you feel okay, so people have identified my flaws, kind of a thing. Okay, these are basic foundations of imposter syndrome. Basic foundations of imposter syndrome. These kind of thoughts, these kind of feelings, all these kinds of emotions arise day in and day out across. If you're waking up throughout the 24 hours, entire 24 hours, you are aware, you were awake, minute by minute, second by second, your brain is filled with thoughts, lots and lots of thoughts, and all those thoughts arise because of whatever situations happening in your business. Normally, how do you identify that you are affected with imposter syndrome? Is one major criteria. Because when I say more than 70% of the people is affected with imposter syndrome, you may also be part of that 70%, right? Okay. Now, let me tell you certain signs, not SEINC, signs, certain symptoms. Okay. If you have self-doubt about you, if you have a self-doubt about you, about your achievements, about your operations, about your atmosphere, business, day in and day out things happening in your business, if you have a self-doubt, you're in a danger zone. If you feel or if you sense incompetence in the surroundings, in the situation, it's a red alarm there. If you're a person having the habit of comparing yourself with others, comparing your business with somebody's business, X compared with Y, you have the habit of comparing, you're in the red alert zone. Say like this corona is putting entire city, almost all places into a red alert. So if these sort of feelings arises in your mind, you will be in the red alert. If you have low self-esteem and self-worth, if someone say something good about you, you don't agree that yourself. Somebody say, how are you? You say, oh, okay, chalega, somewhat okay. If that is going to be your reaction, it's a caution notice. If you have a lot of fear, if you have a lot of fear about your business, about your workers, say you feel no little bit fear to take an action about a particular problem in your office. Okay, there's an action. You fear that if I say something to this particular person, he might put down his papers and resign. If this person resigns, then what will be the status of my business? So these sort of fears arises to each and every business owner. If you have that sort of a feeling or emotion in your mind, or if you have full of anxiety, you'll be taking some decisions. For that decisions, whether you recruit somebody or whether you refuse somebody, that's different. But when you're anxious to know the result, but when that result is not as per your wish, taking into some other different direction, how do you feel? How do you feel? It's again a question again. If your executives, your team of people are immobile, they are immobile, it should affect your business, right? For that thing, like to see. If you are full of stress, burned out, you feel like you're burned out. So whatever you are doing, results are not as per your wish, and you're finding it very difficult. You're burned out. Say probably. So when we say this particular thing in Tamil, we say erichal adayirudhu. We say that you're burned out, yelling out everybody. If you feel that you and your business is underperforming, this is again a symptom. If somebody praises you, it's very hard, it's very difficult for you to accept. If somebody compliments you, we're finding it very difficult to accept those compliments. You might be achieving something big in your business. Okay, you might be achieving something big in your business, but the saddest part is you are absolutely unable to enjoy. Your thoughts and mind process doesn't allow you to enjoy your accomplishments. If you have all these types of thoughts hammering in your mind, then it is for sure you are into that 70% grid. A point blank statement from me. Okay. Let us go something deep. Let me jump into still more deeper into this thing. Basically, there are 5 types of people. Okay, particularly imposter syndrome affected people can be categorized into 5 major heads. 5 major heads. Say each and every steps, each and every talks they do, each and every things they do reflects about their self. All comes under this 5 categories. That is what I'm trying to say. Mostly people prefer to be the perfectionist. Okay, perfectionists. They want to do everything perfect. They don't want anybody to blame them. It's one type of an imposter syndrome. Say people who are very, very specific in, like, I want to be 100% perfect in all aspects. Nobody should blame me. My boss should not blame me. That is going to be the case. And if you have a set of people, you have a set of executives in that category, you need to think, you need to see their other areas of thing, because with these people only you are going to run your show. So there is a category called the perfectionist. The second category is called the expert. The third category of people is called the soloist. Fourth category is called a natural genius. And the fifth category is called the superwoman or a man. See, whatever might be their education level, whatever might be anything under comes under these 5 categories. Okay, so let us go deep into that. Say normally the perfectionist, say everyone strives for perfectionism, right? As a business owner, you want your business, simple and straight statement, right? Perfectionism and imposter syndrome often go hand in hand. Okay, often go hand in hand. Perfectionist set excessively high goals for themselves, basically, and when they fail to reach a goal, they experience major self-doubt. And worry about measuring up. So whether they realize it or not, this group can also be control freaks. Okay, feeling like, if they want something, if they want something done right, they have to do it for themselves. They don't allow anybody to help them, or they don't solicit help. And just like, okay, if in your organization people are in that category of perfectionism, to find out how many people, you ask the questions, all these following questions, which I am going to share with you now. You should ask yourself these questions. Have your workers ever been accused of being a micromanager? For this one question, you have to answer first. Does your workers have great difficulty delegating? If they have a problem in delegating the work, something kind of a sharing thing, it's a problem. Even when they are able to do so, even they are able to delegate certain things, do they feel frustrated and disappointed in the results? Because particularly in the marketing department, for example, in the marketing department, there will be somebody called a general manager. Okay, there will be somebody called a general manager with a good salary, good exposure to the market, a lot of other things. So when your marketing manager, okay, delegates his roles and responsibilities, achieving the tasks, whole lot of things are there. When he delegates that to that person below him, probably marketing managers or sales executives, lower rank of category people, he should have a ability to delegate things properly. If one particular person is sound enough in good enough in communication, probably to talk to the customers, so that person who is strong in communications might be assigned with that task of fixing up the appointments and stuff like that. So there are so many inter segments responsibilities of a general manager. So he should be in a position to delegate correct work with the correct people. Even after that, in case if he find it difficulty to get the desired results or results what he expects, he should not feel frustrated, right? When your marketing manager, your general manager feels that he is incapable for that work, he has dedicated something, he is delegating something and entrusting the responsibilities to the executives, and the ultimate result is not happening, he should not get frustrated. As a owner, you can get frustrated, you can get tensed up, and you have all the liberty to question your general manager. As a boss of the organization, you can ask the questions, but as a manager, he should not get frustrated about the work outcome of the person who is working under him. He should not get frustrated on the end results, because he need to work it out so many pros and cons and factors to get a better result from the market or better results from the executives. That is his role. Okay. When they miss the mark on something, do they accuse themselves of not being cut out for the job? Okay. When you scold your manager, he should not in turn transfer the entire thing, whatever the blow you gave to him, he should not transfer the entire thing to his downline staffs, right? So end of the day, if it's going to be in that way, and the executive put down his paper, then what will happen? Just imagine. You as a owner, you get frustrated and you showered all your frustration onto your GM, general manager. He transfers the entire thing to his people who works in the field. So they get frustrated, they have put down their papers. Then what is going to be the outcome? Ultimately, the entire marketing team is going to resign. That company is the ultimate sufferer. The boss is the ultimate sufferer. Okay, so for these type of people in your organization, if these type of people are there, for these type, success is rarely satisfying. They are not satisfied with their success because they believe they could have done better. But that's neither productive nor healthy for an organization. Owning and celebrating achievements is essential. Achieving the success is essential if they want to avoid burnout. Okay, so you will have to make them learn to take their mistakes in stride. Okay, you should make them learn that the mistakes, they should not take it deep into it, right? They should view them as a natural part of the process, because wherever they go, it is not possible for every single customer to give business. So they should feel that anything wrong happens also, it's part of their business, part of their routine work. Okay, so that is how. So you'll have to force them to start the project they have been planning for months. Okay, so this is how you should handle your person. This is how you should handle. The second category is the expert. Expert normally measure their competence based on what and how much they know or they can do. They calculate them, they evaluate the entire thing as what they know, how much they know. Okay, believing they will never know enough, they fear. They fear being exposed as an inexperienced or unknowledgeable. In your organization, your team of people, assuming your team of people is into that category, they always measure things on what they know. Say when you are not happy with their end result outcome, and when you start questioning them, they tell you or they try to make you understand what they know. Okay, it is not up to your satisfaction, that's a different story, but they say what they know and how much they know. Okay, how much they know. So they say, I know everything, the entire thing in this market, but your business. Okay, they try to emphasize you that they are perfect, they are an expert in the field, but the market is not responding. Well, that is the wrong thing, right? Okay, if you have people in that category, I am for sure, out of my 10 years of experience, I am for sure almost all organizations having these type of people, all these combination of all these 5 types of people are common in every single organization. Okay, you ask these following questions within you. Does your workers shy away from applying to job postings unless they meet every single educational requirement? For some executives, they say, with a good opportunity, they say, I don't have that required qualification, I need some more experience. If your executives are in that state of mind, are they constantly seeking out trainings or certifications because they think they need to improve their skills in order to succeed? Basically, they have an idea inside their mind that they are experts in their field, but still when you ask them about their result, when you are dissatisfied with their outcome and asking them to a lot of clarifications, they say, or they try to make you understand that they know everything, but still all these trainings need to be given to them. They say, if I improve my skills, I can perform better. So as a boss, invest again some more money on my training. This will be their underlying communication to you. It's a danger mark for you. You should identify that aspect particularly. Even if they have been in their role for some time, can they relate to feelings like they still know enough? You might be having a lot of apprehensions about them, but still they say, okay, still more information is needed, still more information is needed. They never accept that there is a problem within themselves. They feel that they are an expert, and they want you to invest some more money on them to perform. It's another type of imposter syndrome. Okay, where is the solution? It's true, there is always more to learn. So when your executives or when your team of people is asking for more knowledge, asking you to invest money on giving up maximum training or few more things, it is true that there is always more to learn. Striving to bulk up their skill, certainly help them make strive professionally and keep them competitive in the job, no doubt about it. But taken too far, the tendency to endlessly seek out for more information can actually be a form of procrastination. So probably that could also be the reason they insist you to invest on training. Okay, they insist you to invest on additional knowledge. Probably that could be a underground reason for them to procrastinate their result, their final results. Even then, your productivity, your profit is going to be affected there. So you should make them start practicing in time training. They should get themselves involved deep into that. Even though if they feel they are an expert, you should not allow them to take it in that way. You should not take it deep into your mind. But they are asking for training, you should invest on training. They ask for some other benefits or facility, you should give them just to get good business from them. No, that should not be the case. Okay, so you should realize that there's no shame in asking for help when you need it. Normally, when you need something, if you don't have certain things, you need that. There's no harm in soliciting help. The same thing your executives are doing. So they feel that they want a training, they want additional training, and they're asking you. Doesn't mean you have to take it in that way. So if you don't know how to do something, you can ask a coworker. So if you can't figure out how to solve a problem, particularly these types of problems in your organization, your downline people are asking for more and more. Seek advice for a supportive person or even a career coach. A career coach will be the right person to give you further more clarity on how to handle these type of questions thrown against you. Okay, so the third type of people is called a soloist. Say this soloist category, the people affected with imposter syndrome category comes under the soloist. These people are sufferers. Who feel as though asking for help reveals their phoniness, or what we say is as soloist. It's okay to be independent. But not to the extent that you refuse assistance so that you can prove your worth. Say the soloist person, perfect person, there's a difference you see. Perfect person, they'll ask for more help from the management. Perfect person, just to cover up their inability to give good results, they ask the management to invest. They ask so many things. They ask for training, they ask for this, they ask for that. That is the category, that is the attitude of a person who falls under the perfection category. The soloist category is the other way around. Interested in investing money, they say, I don't want anything, I want to do it on my own. So it's a soloist personality. So Anyway, for any organization, for any individual person, it is okay to be independent. It is okay to be independent, but not to the extent that even if you give a good help, they refuse to. Okay, ask these questions. Do your workers firmly feel that they won't need to accomplish things on their own? If I don't need anyone's help, when an executive say, I don't need anyone's help, does that sound like about your workers? So do your workers frame a request in terms of requirements of the projects rather than their needs as a person? They are asking you more and more projects, your workers, the soloists, asking you more and more projects. So they require projects to do. They require projects to do, and they don't want anybody to help them. They don't want you also to invest on so many trainings or whatever supports. They want to do all on their own. So this is one type of category. The fourth type is a natural genius, comes into the category natural genius. So people with this competence type believe they need to be a natural genius. They feel they are a born genius. They never respect anybody. They never respect the boss. They never respect their colleagues. They never respect their juniors. Whatever comes under the sun, they never respect. As such, they judge their competence based ease and speed as opposed to their effort. When you say something, they never take it. In other words, if they take a long time to master something, they feel it's the easiest way. Okay. If they take a long time, normally there will be a delay. Anyway, it's a gestation period, is there. But if they consume more time than the required, they feel shame. So these type of imposters set their internal bars impossibly high, just like perfectionists. But natural genius types don't just judge themselves based on ridiculous expectations. They also judge themselves based on getting things right on the first try. Natural genius, the problem is they want to do it perfectly on their own, but the problem is they want to do it, get it success in the first try itself. When they are not able to do so, something quickly or fluidly, they find very difficult. So just imagine, so this natural genius category people in your organization, okay, they don't want anybody's help. They want to do things on their own. Okay, but in case the result is delayed or the outcome is not as per their expectations, they feel frustrated. The expected results are not coming quickly. They are into trouble, right? Okay, you ask these following questions. Are your workers used to excelling without much effort? You put a check there. You put your thoughts and mind into that. Check whether your workers used to excel without much efforts. Do your workers have a track record of getting straight A's or gold stars in everything? Whatever they do, check whether they are straight away hitting the target. Where your workers told frequently as a child, somebody will be saying, so when I was a child, the entire relative community, entire neighbors say that I am a smart personality. Even my family people said. So if they have an attitude like that, and if the same attitude they are going to apply in your business will be into trouble. So do your workers dislike the idea of having a mentor? Dislike the idea of having a mentor because they can handle things on their own. When you say they want a mentor or you want to appoint a mentor with them, they never agree for that. Okay, they dislike the idea. They dislike the idea of having a mentor. When they are faced with a setback, does their confidence tumble? Does their confidence tumble because not performing well provokes a feeling of shame? So check with them. If they are not performing well, if they are feeling ashamed of their end result, that's an alarm signal for you, basically. So do they often avoid the challenges because it's so uncomfortable to try something not great of? Say they don't want mentors. Okay, they don't want mentors. When they face a setback. When they face a setback, their confidence level is coming down. Okay, so to avoid those challenges, they avoid those challenges because they feel uncomfortable. If the end result is not correct, they feel uncomfortable. And if you're having those kind of persons in your organization, what would be the best good results they'll be producing it? Okay, so solution is there, no? To move past this, try seeing yourself as work in progress. Accomplish great things involves lifelong learning and skill building for everyone. It is common for everyone. Even the most confident people needs that. Rather than making or beating them up when they don't reach their impossibly high standards, as a owner, make them identify specific changeable behaviors or that they can improve over a time. Okay, for this you have to see. The last fifth category is called the super women or men. The superwoman category is since people who experience this phenomenon are convinced they are phonies among real deal colleagues. They often push themselves to work harder and harder to measure up. So these super persons, okay, but this is just a false cover up for their insecurities, and the work overload may harm not only their own mental health but also their relationship with others. Most of the organizations have a whole bunch of people of this category called the superman or women. Superman or women. Okay, they feel that workaholism is what they want to please you. They want to please you. They do a lot of things. Ask these questions. Do they stay later in the office? Okay, do they stay later in the office? Okay, even past the point that they have completed the work. They would have completed all the works, but still they'll be in the office. And they'll be sharing with their colleagues that, okay, I'm staying in the office, my boss is watching. Okay, say just to satisfy your ego, just to satisfy you, they'll be working in your office even after office hours or even after they have completed their work. Okay, do they get stressed when they are not working and find downtime completely wasteful? So there are chances they are getting stressed when they don't have work. Whether they have work or not, they'll pull down all the papers and files and they'll do this thing or that thing too, just merely to satisfy you. There's something like a fictitious drama kind of a thing was happening. Okay, parallelly, they would have left their hobbies and passions fall by the wayside, sacrificed to work. There will be a family function happening in their home. There will be a family function. There could be a get together. A lot of things are there. They sacrifice their entire family. Okay, maximum time they spend in your organization. They sacrifice their family. Ultimately, what happens is they not only lose their reputation in their family problems arises. They say always all the time you're in the office and you're not concentrating on the family. Then what happens? Their internal family disputes happen. That affects your business on the whole. Imposter workaholics are actually addicted to the validation that comes from working and not to the work itself. They want your appreciation. Imposter workaholics are actually, they are addicted to what? Addicted to the validation that comes from working. If you say you are a good worker, they get happy, they get satisfied. Not to the work itself, but they won't be happy with the work. They are not happy with the work they are doing, but they are happy for the appreciation what you give it to them. Appreciation for particularly the boss. It's something like a fake drama. If you fail to appreciate them, at one point of time, they get frustrated, put on their papers, and they're going to join some other organizations. Okay. So this, on the flip side, what you should do is make them learn to take constructive criticisms seriously and not personally, because they expect appreciation only from you. Only from you. When their colleagues talk to them something bad, okay, about their performance, about their, so-called sincerity, dedication, and they criticize them. Hey, you are or something like always you want to favor the boss. Well, in Tamil we say jalra to the boss. These kind of comments or sarcastic comments passed on them by their colleagues, they get frustrated. They take it very seriously. So there, if your executives or your team of people falls under this category, you have to make them learn to take constructive criticism in a positive way. They should not take it personally. As they become more attuned to internal validation and unable to nurture their inner confidence that states they have been competent and skilled. Okay, they'll be able to ease off the gas as they gauge how much work is responsible. So for this is how the thing is. All comes all these five category people. Okay, this is a very heavy subject. It's a very heavy subject. But now, as a owner, as a person who is running the organization, okay. Now let us share with you something, the reality, what has happened to so many brands. So I'm in this industry, this training, particularly this imposter syndrome training for the past 10 years. But in the media industry, I was in Raj TV, I was a channel head of MIM TV and stuff like that. For more than 30 years, I had been in the media industry. So I handled training sessions for across almost all companies and corporate companies in various categories. So let me share with you certain things. Normally this imposter syndrome signs which we started earlier, I'll tell you with examples which are all the companies, what happened to which are the companies. Okay, we talked about self-doubt. So there is a type of people, there is a type of workers in any organization. They not only doubts about their own level, but also about your organization's growth levels. Okay, they have a very, very bad doubt about growth of your organization beyond growth of their self. Okay, I was with MIM TV. In the initial stages of MIM TV, there was a problem with the SCV. There was a problem with the SCV in distribution. Big artists, politicians, they were refusing to give interviews. They were refusing to say when a big film actor, when this person, PRO, calls for an interview, when they say we want to shoot an interview for Sun TV, they say, okay, come this afternoon. But when the PRO calls that, we need your time, we want to take an interview for MIM TV, they fear on the viewership and a lot of other stuff. They refuse to give time. They say, why MIM TV? Who is watching MIM TV? So their initial stages of MIM TV, that was a problem. Studio owners were hesitant to rent their floors for shooting purpose. When MIM TV approaches a particular studio for shooting, when we plan for 4 or 5 days of shoot, studio owners say, no, sir, Vijay TV has blocked these dates, or no, Sun TV is asking for this studio, or there's some movie shooting is happening. They refuse to give the studio. Okay, advertisers, particularly sponsors, they are not giving their advertisement support, fearing of viewership, and there are a lot of issues were there. And at the time, most of the staffs want to put on their papers and go. Self-doubt. A lot of staffs had that self-doubt whether this company will succeed, whether this channel will come up. They had a lot of doubt. Most of the people put on their papers. But I want to tell two people, one of Adams, now he is very busy with Sun TV Adams, and the other person is Hari, who is doing debate show in Tandi TV. So these two people, these two gentlemen, they gained their experience, knowledge, contacts, everything. They never had self-doubt about, they never had a doubt about MIM TV's survival. They are very specific on their individual development in the media. So they understood the basic needs. They get themselves educated under my guidance. They molded themselves. They gained knowledge. And you see today, where they are. Okay. Sense of incompetence is there. Okay. They believe, your staffs, they believe you as a owner, you doesn't have the capacity or capability to run the business. Okay. They believe that you doesn't have the capacity, and they talk to their colleagues and they deviate them. Ultimately, what happened is you will be having a good workers, a good set of people in your organization. For these people doesn't have no sense of incompetence. These categoried people, imposter syndrome people, will spoil the mood and tempo of the person who is a good worker. Ultimately, what happens? There are chances you will be losing a quality worker. So these people spoils the atmosphere totally, make them put all the messes, and you will be ultimately losing the good workers. For this, I would wish to share with an example of Amrita Milk in Erode. So Amrita Milk, a company from Erode, their staffs had this doubt. Okay, their staffs had this doubt whether this company will come up. But both the partners of Amrita Milk, they want to keep measured steps. They don't want to go haphazard way. They want to go in a planned way. And they're very specific and they're very clear in what they are doing, and they're very clear what they should do. No deviations in their thought process, no deviation in their running their day in and day out activities. But their workers had an issue. They had a fear that whether this company will come up. So after my analysis with them, we clear all the doubts. We clear all the doubts of the staff. Then the rest is the history. You might have seen they subsequently took an ad film fixing actress Khushbu as their brand ambassador. For this is how it is. Okay. The other imposter syndrome character is frequently comparing with others. They feel you and your organization is not so good compared with the XYZ company, or even they might be comparing your business or your company with your competitor brand. For this is a quite dangerous thing happening there. You might be aware of the company, Syscom Stabilizer. You would have seen the advertisements. Syscom Stabilizer dealers, almost all the dealers, they'll always be comparing their product, services, commissions, everything with that of Premier Stabilizers. So that comparison will be, say they never talk about V-Guard. They talk about Premier Stabilizer being that is a local brand. Okay. There was a time when almost all of the dealers were reluctant to place repeated orders for Syscom stabilizers. So then subsequently, after our session, so the situations came under control. Thereby the dealers were happy. So this habit to impose syndrome, when these thoughts block their head throughout, ultimately as a boss, you tend to lose a lot of business, things to be taken care of. With the executives, with a workforce, with a set of people in your organization having low self-esteem and self-worth, they never respect anything. They doesn't have respect for themselves personally. If they doesn't respect themselves, how will they respect you and your business? How will they respect others? How will they respect your competitors? How will they respect your colleagues? A lot of things. How will they respect you, basically? I'll tell you an example. You might be aware of a company called Syscom Telemedia. They got a time slot in Kalaignar TV. And that workers of Syscom Telemedia, they had a doubt about the concept of the program, basically. Okay, concept of the program and viewership, anticipated viewership, because that program was scheduled on weekdays. It's on Monday to Thursday between 10 and 10:30 in the night. So the time band. Of course, honestly, that time band is a good time band, but still their team, they had a doubt on the concept of the program, because when the entire thing is fixing up a big artist and going for a shooting for that program, SICOM's Telemedia, that program talked about World War II. That program talked about life history of Hitler and stuffs like that. That is how it was. So after our session, we had a counseling session with their executives. Then subsequently, they did a program called the Kali Yugam. So that Kali Yugam became a super hit show, where the company called Telebuy. Again, this advertisement you might have seen, Telebuy, Orbitrack, Edva Martin, these products. They took up the entire program. They consumed all the 240 available seconds, and there was a good sponsor. It's a good example. The other habit of imposter syndrome problem is a fear and anxiety. Fear and anxiety. So they have a fear. Okay, they expect something. Okay, they want to be in tension. They want to be anxious. If your workers is going to be in that category, then how your business is going to develop, how your business is going to grow. Say your workers should work in a peace state of mind, calm state of mind. That is how your workers should be. As a business owner, you will be having a lot of tensions, but still there are certain ways to keep your mind calm, which we'll be teaching. So this is a totally different thing. But your workers, they should not get tense. And if your work team is going to be in a full of stress and tension, definitely it's going to affect your business. The business. Okay. Since I said Telebuy, they sponsored the show in Kalangiri TV. I'll tell you one example with the same Telebuy itself. A group of executives resigned from, of course, Telebuy is a teleshopping giant. They resigned, and they formed a new telemarketing company. They were also having a few products to sell. They were able to run the show for about 6 months, and after 6 months, they had a doubt whether they can survive in the market, because there were more than 6 other teleshopping companies selling the same product. You might have seen this vegetable cutter, green color box. The commercial says that you can cut anything, any vegetables, whatever, you can cut it with ease. So the same product, almost 6 to 7 other companies were doing. So then subsequently, since I was associated with the Telebuy that time, I gave a counseling with them. I had a one-on-one session with them, and our sessions helped in improving their confidence level, and they are one among the best teleshopping companies of Tamil Nadu. Now, still they are into the business. One another imposter syndrome category problem is immobility. In your organizations, there could be a person of this category. They never want to go anywhere. They are comfortable in the seat where they are seated currently. They are comfortable with the job. They are comfortable with the designation. They are comfortable with the salary. They are comfortable with all the other benefits, everything. And they don't want to go out. Okay, some way or somehow, when you ask them to go to some place, or you give them some extra responsibilities and you want them to go, they will never go. You want to transfer them to some other market. Okay, assuming you are sound in Tamil Nadu, assuming you want to spread your wings to say Kerala, and you're asking this particular person, okay, I'll promote you to this designation, I'll depute you to Kerala. They say, I can't go to Kerala. Same immobility. They don't want to move. If you have a set of people like that, where is your growth? How can you grow with these type of people? You have to think it. So when you insist them to join duty in that particular market within a particular date, they put down their papers and leave. So having these type of people in your organization, how you are going to scale up your business? This is a very, very bad situation, imposter syndrome situation, killing the entire organization's growth. Every single organization is having these type of people into their muster roll. An example I would like to share with you, my friend. There is a person known to me personally, one Mr. Muthukumar. He was working for Lintas Pharmaceuticals. Okay, he was working for Lintas Pharmaceuticals. He was asked to report to a person who was working under him, his junior. His junior got promotion, and this Muthukumar was asked to report to them. Seriously, he felt it's a disrespect for him, and he put down his papers. Okay, what happened is, he's again an experienced person, a senior most person in the industry, having quite a lot of experience, and that to a person working with Lintas Pharmaceuticals is a big thing. It's a very, very big thing. But the problem is, since he resigned, he is not able to get an equal designation, equal job, equal salary from the other companies. Okay, Lintas is a big company, so he need to search a job with a company which is equal or at par with Lintas. Practically, it was not possible for him to get a job, and might as well companies are not interested to take it that way also. So ultimately, what happened? He decided to start his own pharmaceutical company with the kind of knowledge and experience what he had. Okay. See, the thing is, Mr. Muthukumar is very strong in Salem market. He is having quite a good contacts with a couple of hospitals and doctors in Chennai. Muthukumar's brother was a stockist for AAC ghee in Tirunelveli. So I suggested him to appoint just one single executive. Say, coming out from a big company, doesn't have that financial lot of money with them. I told him, don't invest more money on executives, because you all know, a sales representative, a medical representative, apart from salary, we need to give them daily allowance, we need to give them petrol allowance, where in case they're traveling out, we need to take care of their food and stay. Whole lot of expenses there. But I told them to recruit just one single person to represent the entire market. So whichever the markets Muthukumar is familiar, let this executive work only in those markets. Let him visit only those specific doctors. Let him talk for and on behalf of Muthukumar. For this is what the strategy which I planned and give it to them. So what happens is, initial works, groundworks, all these new executive took care of the entire thing. Then Muthukumar will visit those markets in a pre-scheduled trip, not overburdening himself for sales pressure. So his ultimate target was to get business to run his family and to take care of the one single sales representative, a minimal amount, right? For this they have to run the show, not overburdening himself. So parallelly, he offered high incentives to both his representative as well as stockist. So what happens is, today, after a span of say 7-8 years from now, currently he is having 10 representatives. So Muthukumar is Axiom Pharmaceuticals having 10 representatives and a reasonable presence in TN market, doing a turnover of something close to 3 crores. Well, last year he was doing something close to 3 crores was that turnover. The other imposter syndrome difficulty, imposter syndrome problem is stress and burnout. Full of stress, full of tension. Okay, yelling at everybody. A person yelling at everybody, then how you will be getting the customers? Okay, how you will be getting the customers? You have a good worker in your company. You have a good worker. This imposter syndrome affected person, affected with what? Habit of yelling everybody, not respecting anybody, talking filthy language to anybody. A person is of that category. Always they have one-on-one arguments with colleague. Slowly people will start searching for other options. If your organization is having a people of that category, what will be the fate of your business? What will be a fate of your business? The same thing happened to a very big hospital in Coimbatore. It's a very, very big hospital in Coimbatore. It's always such a busy hospital, such a busy hospital. So even getting admitted to emergency ward is a challenge. All of a sudden, what happened? No? There is a sudden drop in the downfall. When people started opting for so many other hospitals than this. So this made the boss of that hospital to think twice, thrice, multi times. Even the doctors and visiting doctors were cool. They are happy, they are cool, everything. But the hospital staffs, particularly the people who are dealing with patients, relatives, and handling visitors, they were full of stress. Ultimately, what happened? You just imagine, management ultimately started getting numerous complaints against almost all departments, starting from parking slots to pharmacy. Okay, parking slots to pharmacy counters. Say a customer want to park his vehicle, whether it is a two-wheeler or a four-wheeler, the person who is taking care of the parking, security guard, he talks something to the customer gets irritated. He drops a complaint to the management that your person in the parking lot is misbehaving with me. He's not talking to me properly or is disrespecting me and things like that. Pharmaceutical counter, there is a problem. When it's such a busy hospital, obviously there will be a lot of crowd, not only in the hospital, but as well as the pharmacy counter also. When a medicine is needed and a person in the hospital, they say, come within 5 minutes or come within 10 minutes. And when this customer is made to wait in the long queue for 10 or 15 minutes, and when you say this is required immediately, there tends to become an argument with the person who is taking care of the pharmacy counter. So this customer, or mostly the relatives or an attenders of the patient, they come to the pharmacy counter. So they have an argument with the person, some sort of a stress. That is what is happening. Stress and burnt out executives, burnt out people in the other side. They talk something, ultimately the customer gets irritated and makes a complaint. So as the staff strength of this hospital is huge, of course, I did multiple sessions with them. Now today the management is happy on gaining back their earlier results. Say the complaint what the general public talking about their staffs, again started come down. Now the management is happy. This is one more category: imposter syndrome, difficulty, underperformers. Underperformers is available in all. Underperformers, whatever it may be, a person who doesn't achieve the target in your organization. If your executive not able to achieve the target, or in your production department, your people who are taking, they are least bothered about the quality perfection of the product. Okay, if your organization have these type of people, underperformers, what will be the fate of your organization? You need to think it over. Okay, a well-reputed publisher coming with a monthly magazine had issues in retaining their subscription base. As their other main line of business of printing is going great, this publishing department was facing a turmoil because they are not able to maintain the customer base, subscription base getting down. Ultimately, overheads are there. So a session, I made a session followed with a couple of changes among the staffs internally. We made some changes here and there. So that changes was very much helpful for the magazine boss to rectify all those things. Things were calm and cool now. So now that magazine is available with all government libraries across TN. Okay. There is one another imposter syndrome problem is there. That is hard to accept praise and compliments. A person with full of inferiority complex. Person with full of inferiority complex is their nature. Okay. A person having inferiority complex is their nature. When you achieve something, as an organization, as an individual, when you achieve something, this inferiority complex person will never appreciate it or never feel proud that I am working for a company. I am working for a company with which is having a achieved something. Okay, there is a case study there. There is a company. There was a company called Vinisha Vision. It's a media agency. They were handling Medimix. They were handling the brand Medimix. When they got their ISO certification, a few of their staffs were telling outside that without their contribution, this company might not have got this certification. So we subsequently, we sorted out the things and we removed people who have been talking bad about that organization. Inability to enjoy your accomplishments. Okay, you have achieved something great, like Vinisha Vision. They got an ISO certification. Okay. Inability to enjoy the accomplishments. You want to throw a party, they won't come. Okay, then if you have a people of that category, then what will be the kind of developments your company will be having? An example I'll tell you. There was a challenging time for Raj TV during 2000. I was working with Raj TV as a marketing manager at the time. I'm talking about 20 years back. Okay, at the time. It was a challenging time for Raj TV. They were immediate competitors for Sun TV. So when they launched the Raj Digital Plus channel, which is a competitor to Sun Music, the entire advertising fraternity, all advertisers were criticizing. That's one thing. So then subsequently, when they launched their Telugu channel, Visa TV, at that time, Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh was Chandrababu Naidu. He inaugurated the channel. Okay, the same thing happened there. Everyone was criticizing. Everybody was criticizing. So today, whether you accept it or not, apart from Sun Network, Raj TV, today Raj TV is the only Tamil channel network of channels having satellite channels in all South Indian languages. Same like Sun Network. If Sun is having channels exclusively, the main channel is there. They have a channel for music. They have a channel for comedy. They have a channel for music. They have a channel for news. The entire bunch of things Raj TV is also having today in all languages: Tamil, Telugu, Kannada, and Malayalam. Say these are the signs of imposter syndrome. Say, if your organization have these types of people, these type of people will never allow your office or your organization to run in the perfect direction. They will never allow you to reach the business goal or destination what you have planned as an organization. As an owner, you would have planned to achieve something. You would have planned to reach a particular goal or a destination. By having these type of people in your office, various departments, ultimately they are killing your development. They are killing your business growth. This is what the main thing. Why they are doing it? What is the reason? Reasons are many. First and foremost thing is every individual is different, right? Every individual is different. They are coming from a different family structure. They have a different cultural beliefs. Maybe their education itself is very different. That education is different. Their understanding capacity is different. Every single person is different. But with those type of people, who is affected more? Not that individual person. As a owner, you are the person getting affected day by day, day in and day out. 50% of the people who contact me privately about imposter syndrome were men. Okay, so ultimately what happens is you feel confused. You feel confused. So you feel a lot of your business is heading towards a confused stage, a junction where you are not able to take a decision which side to take. One direction leads you confused stage, one direction is talking about bewilders, one direction is talking about unclear situations and stuffs like that. So if this is going to be the case, if you're not taking strong steps now, it will be too late tomorrow. It will be too late tomorrow. But if you still prefer to run your organization without checking the imposter syndrome status of your workforce, then you're doing it wrong. So what shall you do? So you need to encourage your workers. For that, you yourself should get encouraged first and foremost. So you should get that encouragement, and you should encourage your workforce, and this process should get repeated. So you should discover, you should update your views, and if some failure happens in your handling things in your business, you should come to a mind frame that it is failure is it's not a permanent thing. Okay, it is an opportunity to grow, a small pass. So that feeling should come. So you should make some small changes. And then you can come out of this imposter syndrome. So you'll have to separate feelings from fact. So all these imposter syndrome problems, which we had been discussing for more than 1 hour, is all based on feelings of individuals, based on feelings of people who are severely affected with imposter syndrome. As a business owner, as an entrepreneur, you will be having development. With these type of people, ultimately, you are the end sufferer. So here, you have to separate feelings from fact. What is the fact is, you have to take alternate to come up with this type of imposter syndrome people. You have to either make yourself accustomed to them and make the changes there, right? Or else you have to remove the entire thing, and you should appoint totally imposter-free executives, imposter-free thing. For there again, what you have to do is you have to find a mentor. You have to create a support system. You have to build a community. So that is where I am helping. My BBC help company help to build a support system. I am sharing my experience. I am sharing my thoughts, inputs, everything as a mentor. Okay. So when this happens, slowly, from imposter syndrome situations, you and your organizations will get into the power mode. You get into the power mode. See, there is no point in making all those changes internally. When you have a problem, and changing internal changing is not going to give you any good results, basically. Okay, you have to identify how many people in your organization is affected with imposter syndrome. First and foremost thing, you have to do that. Identify for that. And when I say you have to find the facts and the feelings, you have to differentiate between facts and feelings, right? So this, you have to identify how many people are affected with imposter syndrome, and you'll have to take a solution. We help in that segment because your employees are the root of your business, which gives you the fruits and shadow everything. It's a big tree. Your business is a big tree. Your employees or your workers, precisely, they are the roots helping you to get the benefit of the tree. So only if the roots are powerful and strong enough, it will produce good results. So if you want good fruits, You'll have to take care of the root. And here, as an imposter syndrome specialist, I am helping you into that segment. For when you change the route, you get a better fruit. So what is the better fruit as a businessman is you will be having an increased turnover. You will be having an increased turnover. If you want an increased turnover, this is the solution. You should have a team of people who are absolutely not at all affected by imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome. Okay, what should you do for that? You will have to register for a imposter ECG assessment. I'll post the link now in the chat box. With that link, you have to register for the assessment. So we will process your request and we'll schedule a discovery call. We'll schedule a discovery call over the phone, or we'll have it through a Google Meet. So after the discovery call and consultation, we help you to having a strategy planning session at your place. I'll come to your place and we'll have a strategy planning session, and let us derive a perfect blueprint. So that is what BBC is: business blueprint celebrations. So that blueprint will take you to the roadway to high profits. We have been dealing with Telebuy company, TV24, a big teleshopping giant. Telebuy and TV24 are a big teleshopping giants. We have been handling them. We have been handling V-Guard stabilizers. Okay, V-Guard, a group of companies, and likewise for the past 10 years plus. So we have been dealing with more and more bigger companies, average companies, organizations. Say for me, whether it's a big company or a small company is totally different. I prefer to deal with people who have a serious thought about their business development. I want to help those people. I want to help those people to come up better in their life. So I'll post the link now. Okay, friends. Okay. So with this, you can register yourself for that. Say basically, remember we all need people. We all need people. Say imposter syndrome is something very 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 important thing basically. See, when you talk to others, when you represent your things to your competitors, or when you project yourself in the market. So what happens is, now you should talk to your people in a confident way. You should have all the confidence, and you should feel proud that you are a boss of a brand. You are a boss of boss on your own. You should feel proud that you are having a good team of people. So when you walk, when you walk, you should have chest up, chin up. So that is how your attitude should be. You should promulgate yourself as a very very confident person. You should a confident person. So in that way, with this link, we'll plan a strategy. We'll plan a strategy session and we'll take it up. Okay. So now, so thus we are into the end segment. We are through with this webinar now. So in the meantime, if you have any clarifications, if you have any doubts or something, you can come up, or come up in the live, and I'm really honored and happy to happy to give you answer. Anybody can, in the option right side, you have an option of raise the hand. So we can chat now. So any clarifications or any questions to ask? Okay, fine. I would like to share with you a few more things. We are in the close, so probably another. I'll take another 2 minutes and then we'll wind up this webinar. First and foremost thing, I'd like to congratulate you and thank you for being in this webinar. So far, for the past 10 years, so for the past 10 years, I've been doing all these trainings in the customer's place, my customer's place. Now this 2020, we are moving, like the entire world, we are moving from premise to digital training. So this is a transformation. For this, we decided for this financial year, and only in this April, we are doing it in the digital platform. Particularly, so here, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I'm doing my Facebook Live at 4 p.m. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday are exclusively for my Facebook Live. Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday are for my webinars. Okay, so I have a whole lot of programs, whole lot of sessions happening. Monday, I talk about financial freedom, which will be again, all my courses are related particularly with imposter syndrome. Say, being more than 70% of the people affected with imposter syndrome, I am trying to give a solution for them, and I want to reduce that 70% to maximum, come down on the percentage. So on Monday, I am talking about financial issues. On Wednesdays, I talk about general life, mostly for housewives and people who are working for the organization. And all Fridays at 4 o'clock, my session is exclusively for business owners. Pertaining to webinars, on Thursdays at 7 p.m., I'm doing a webinar exclusively for general public, and webinar exclusively for business owners is happening on first and third Saturday. So this is the first webinar of BBC Live. BBC Live is called Sunrise. Say this, I want to caption it in all ways. So probably in the backdrop you're seeing, right? A smile. So smile is success mantras in life education. So I have till last year we have been doing a program called SMS. It's called Success Made Simple. So I'm crazy in naming my name of my programs in a different style. So in that way, all my programs are based on that category. And all Sundays, every Sunday in the morning, 10 o'clock, I have an imposter assessment session happening on. So that is a paid activity. So people, they'll have to pay the money, and then subsequently it's again as Zoom meet, one-on-one discussion kind of a thing. It's happening on all Sundays morning at 10 o'clock. Every Sunday evening 4 o'clock, I do my regular Facebook Live, because I have a community called BBC Live. A separate Facebook group is there as BBC Live. So I advise you to join that Facebook group also. Ultimately here, nothing is compulsion. I want to reach to more people and spread the awareness about imposter syndrome. So there are so many trainers available in the market. There are so many trainers handling about various topics. But to my knowledge, trainers dealing with imposter syndrome, nobody in India. Probably, if not, even if I'm wrong, definitely not in Tamil Nadu. That's what I feel. So here again, I want to share my knowledge, my experience on imposter syndrome, and I want to create a community with an imposter-free personalities, because this imposter syndrome is one thing, ruins your life individually, ruins your life, officially ruins your life in the business angle also. It not only affects you, in turn, you will be affecting the entire society. Thus, the next generation, for the next generation will be living a still more stressful, problematic life, which I want to contribute my something money, fame I have earned in my life so far. So now I want to give something back to the society. I want to give something back to the society. For that is the reason I am doing all these sessions. In that way, I would personally, to be a part of this webinar for investing your precious time. Always, my sessions will be of knowledge sharing and it will be a useful investment. You will be investing your time in a useful way. You have not wasted your time. That one thing I have to tell you. Your feedback about this webinar, please drop your comments in 9440693002. Your takeaways and your suggestions also is most welcome. So thank you so much for being part of this webinar. I'd like to conclude this webinar by quoting what Swami Vivekananda says. Swami Vivekananda says, watch your thoughts, it becomes your words. Watch your words, it becomes your action. Watch your action, it becomes your habit. And watch your habit, it becomes your character. And watch your character, it determines your destiny. So fill your mind and life with positive thoughts. This is Mithran Sriram, life coach and imposter syndrome specialist, signing off from this webinar. Thank you and all the best.